Hey folks, Studio here. I just got the next batch of questions in, so let's go ahead, bust them open, and start answering them. This first question comes from Soviet Blade. Hey Studio, how long do you think the goofy crap phase in terms of what S3 added and changed will last? Alright, so this is a fun question because I get what he's going for, and if you've been playing lately, Season 3 has had a lot of goofy crap. Let's just start, for example, with the mid laners. All of a sudden, 80 Bruiser is now a thing, besides occasional Pantheon picks from, like, one guy. Like the one guy who played Pantheon. And even then, he wasn't on a pro team. So, when is the goofy crap going to end? Well, the goofy crap started, and it's probably not going to go away, and things are just going to get weirder and weirder. At least if North America continues to move forward. So I'm just going to assume here that Korea and mainland China are better at the game than us right now, because frankly, well, they kick our ass every time we play against them. But the meta in Korean OG and the Champions, and in some of the mainland China games, have been crazy. I mean, like, laning phase isn't really stuck anymore. All of a sudden you have like 80 mids, lots of supports roaming, lots of junglers roaming, lots of even just lane swapping nonstop, people constantly applying pressure all over the place. No one is confident to just go ahead and leave laning phase as we currently play in North America. So I consider that the goofiest of crap because that is very, very insane, and it's something that you're not going to see in solo queue. But if you've looked at how North American teams are practicing right now, they're really not moving towards it because no North American teams are really practicing. The people trying to get into Season 3 are, but TSM, Dignitas, CLG have really toned back. I think they're starting to pick up now in January, now that the holidays are over. Even Curse hasn't been practicing all that much lately. But the goofy crap phase, it's just going to get goofier and goofier. And it's going to get weirder and weirder. And North America will be moving forward. We will be moving in that direction. It might take us getting our butts beat by Korea in another tournament. So it might take some time, but everything crazy Season 3 added, it is just the tip of the crazy iceberg. Crazy will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. For example, support LeBlanc is getting super common in the Champions. It's not the first time I've heard of it. It was used yesterday. It was used the other day again. And this means that it's like even support picks. I mean, how crazy was it for Zara to be there? It was nuts. Zara was just an insane support. Now she's pretty good. Pretty good support. So just expect everything to get weirder and weirder and weirder in ways that, you don't expect. There is no way that I would have thought laning phase would have been affected so dramatically by the changes, just because they weren't necessarily direct laning changes, but the Ruby Sight Stone and just the vision of the map. It's all crazy, and I think you have to fight to make sure you just don't get beaten in lane right now, and that's what teams are doing. So I really like that question because, yeah, there's lots of goofy crap going on, but when's it going to end? The answer, no. The answer is no. Well, probably no. We'll see what Season 4 brings. This next question comes from VolcanoStyle. When are you going to send me low elo chat logs to read in stupid voices because that 700 elo one has more than all your other vids combined? I think that the Moscow 5 match brings it close with all the other vids combined. But I haven't been able to get good chat logs because all of my games have been in spectator mode when I look at the replays, because looking at normal games like non-replays is terrible in every way. It is just a horrifying experience. We're missing one play that you really can't slow down very efficiently for. Just ruins the replay. So I need to start asking for low elo, or for just not any elo really, rage chat logs with the replay not saved in spectator format, which I might make a call for, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a weird thing to ask for. But yeah, hopefully we can get some good chat logs and make some more low elo vids because they're fantastic. This next question comes from Tristan Wolf. Studio, how do people like us learn to and then subsequently start casting for League of Legends? It's something I've found to be of interest lately, but it's also something that I don't really know how to start. Okay, so there's two ways to go about this. If you're just doing this for fun, then, well, part of it is you just have to do it. In terms of organizations that will give you games, NESL for North America is probably the most reliable. They tend to have the most entry-level positions, the most options available. If not, you have to kind of go around just asking everybody. But If you are just starting out, you don't have experience, asking everybody won't really work because, you know, like, let's say you try to become a TSM caster, you have no prior casting experience. Well, they've already got me, Malphus, Kobe, and Wombat. You have to somehow say, well, I should be taking one of their roles, or I should be around to be as one of the backups, but we also already have, like, 4 backups. And usually even then, to be a backup, it means that 3 people, like 3 of the main 4 have to not show up. So, to get games, I'd recommend NESL or just start casting stuff. Realize that there's a lot available out there. For example, Dominion casting is something that isn't super popular, but you know, a small group does it, and I don't know if they need more help, but it's one of those niche markets. Twisted Tree Line casting, I haven't really seen people doing that. ARAM casting is something that I think everybody kind of does, but maybe there's a niche in there. Low Elo casting is its own very unique blast and very unique specialty, and it's something fun. Like, if you want to just like start getting those tournament games, then NESL will probably be your best bet, because most tournaments, they're going to have their own casters in slots. They won't have open specs. You won't be able to watch the game. NESL, they have a lot more games to choose from with all their weekly go for lulls, and you have better options there. And I think niche casting is probably the best option for a lot of people right now, because there aren't a lot of openings overall. Like I said, the TSM stuff, it's very closed off, and it's probably one of the more open organizations out there. Like IPL, you have to compete with 2 people who work for a salary at the IGN offices, and also then the backups of Nick Allen and Torch, and even Kevin Naki now. MLG, you'd have to compete with Optimus, Tom, and Chobra, both of them who, you know, live in New Jersey, go to New York to cast from their offices, and like you're competing with live people. It's a very, very tight industry right now. If you start making a name for yourself, you might be able to go ahead, start picking up bigger and bigger gigs, start just getting noticed, and just moving forward. But the truth is, the way you really start is you start casting a lot, and you just try and learn from yourself. So that was all business stuff. This is how you get better at casting. You cast, you go, man, I sucked, how do I get better? And then you just repeat that 1,000 times. I highly recommend listening through your own casts. I highly recommend listening to feedback. And every now and then, like, there'll be that problem you have, and you don't really think it's a problem. So a problem I used to have before was I did not get very hype. People would tell me, you don't get hype, studio. I'm like, well, I'm getting hype when I think to get hype, and I would seldomly get hype. Like, me getting hype meant something huge, massive, oh my god, must have happened. But this was during 2 big things. The meta was super, super boring. Nobody did anything. This is back in August when Cursed IPL Face-Off, they did nothing for like all their matches, but stalled, and it wasn't very interesting. But I wasn't getting hype, because I'm like, well, I'm just waiting for the big plays. But the reason every play was small to me was because I had, well, a camera to control. I could do my own thing, look at the game from any perspective, and just be like, check out this cool shit going on. And I would see what's going on from my perspective, a perspective no one else had. And I could predict stuff very easily, and I just, like, nothing surprised me because I could see it coming. It's like, oh, they're going to do this? Well, I see it coming already. I'm already watching over it while the play-by-play caster was doing something else, something, you know, more important. So I would not get hyped because I had just the wrong perspective. I was looking at it from someone with full camera control, when really I should have realized, wait, not everybody has that, and everything is a lot more interesting when you're not just kind of predicting stuff with your full camera control. So that was a very long answer. I mean, I guess the 2 answers I had there was, 1, NESL is a good starting point. Aside from that, go for a niche. If you don't want to go, like, I think going for a niche is going to be one of the better options. And just, like, you got to work to get your name out there. You got to work to put your hours in to really kind of go up in the system and focus on improving yourself. You have to realize you will not be very good at casting. I've heard some people say it's like, all right, you want to cast a game, cast 500 games. You've casted 500 games, you can start to be okay. And if you look at just League of Legends casters overall, all of them, they've gotten tremendously better over time because they're just getting better and better at talking about the game because they cast more and more. Even casters for other games, like let's go with Tasteless because he casts some League of Legends games. He still has to cast a lot of League of Legends games before he becomes a good LoL caster. He's a great personality. When he casted the LoL games, they were funny, but he wasn't necessarily commenting well because, well, he didn't know what the hell was going on. But I mean, I digress because it's been a very long response, but the answer is God. Just, if you like casting out, do it. Do it, have fun, it's awesome, it is such a blast, it is so much fun to talk about this game. But realize it is not a financially secure option, and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, and you take a lot of shit from the community. This next question comes from Martino S. Killer 9. Can you explain why Cassiopeia, Kennen, and Morgana are not played mid anymore, when they were so popular before? So this is one of those questions that the answer can be a little unsatisfying. So for Cassiopeia and Kennen specifically, I think they're just not popular. People just don't play them. Now that's not a fun answer. That's not like, well, here's the breakdown. They're great in this regard. They're bad in this regard. Yeah, it's not popular. No one really plays Cassiopeia or Kennen. They're very hard to play characters. They're just difficult. You do see the occasional Cassiopeia. I play occasional Kennen mid. So there you go. At least one 1700 Kennen right there. But yeah, they're just not popular. They do very well. Cassiopeia can have some problems with AD Assassin, so can Kennen. They both have that issue. But they're very dominant laners. Their teamfight potential is enormous. It might be a little bit delayed for Kennen. But really, they're just hard to play. And they're not fun to play necessarily. Kennen is an incredibly difficult champion to play, so is Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, it's mana management to hell. But you can't build like Anivia. You are going to be going in deeper. You are a much shorter range caster than other characters because your Twin Fangs is short range. So that is a problem she has, but it's very possible to work around it. Her stun on her ultimate is also not reliable, but you know, if you have an Amumu setting up, he can catch people facing towards you, which is always awesome. And even then, the slow on it is amazing. As for Kennen, it's kind of the same deal where there are some lanes he will not do that well, and you can have trouble with burst casters, like he has to land the Shuriken. The Shuriken is not easy to land. It's kind of like Morgana, actually, where your best bet to land a Shuriken, besides using auto attacks and his W and E, is you E up to someone, use your ultimate, there you go. You can land a Shuriken because they're stunned. But they're just hard to play. They're a little less consistent, a little bit less flexible than other characters. Someone like Anivia mid. Anivia mid works on any team composition, and she's safe. So pro players are more likely to pick her because they can just kind of throw her anywhere. It's like, they're Anivia with these guys, oh yeah, whatever, it's fine. Anivia with those guys, okay, that's fine. And very rarely will a team have a bad composition because of an Anivia pick. Kennen, Cassiopeia, a bit trickier with that. Morgana is in a just god-awful spot right now. Like, that is definitely an over-exaggeration, but her Black Shield does nothing mid lane half the time because she's going up against AD casters. So, alright, she can stop the CC, but Morgana's squishy early on in the game, and the problem she's having isn't that so much that she's getting CC'd, it's more that she's just getting blown up. Like, you can really put anybody mid lane right now. Like, well, not anybody, but you can put a lot of characters mid lane right now. And, like, let's say they send Talon mid. Alright, Morgana, she can Black Shield the silence if she does it in reaction, but all the physical damage, no way to stop that. Kha'Zix's mid, okay, she can block the magic damage, or she can block the slow on his W if he's evolved it, but that's it. That's all she has going for her. And of course, her ultimate's good. Like, she is still a good character, but she's always been very dependent on her ultimate. That's why she fell off before. You could get good catches with binding, but that was difficult. It was not a reliable way to start fights. Lux, for example, can poke like crazy, and if you get a good binding, you start a fight, but you don't bank on the binding. The binding is awesome, but it's not what you rely on to start a fight. Morgana kind of was, and she can't really poke if she misses the binding. Her ultimate's good, but it's avoidable. It's avoidable with good flashes, with good positioning, with a good reverie. Might get you just far enough away to flash out of the ultimate. And that's a problem Morgana is having. You really have to land a binding. You really have to get a good ultimate off. She's still not bad, necessarily. I mean, she still does have the issue with ADs. But I think it's just, you know, she's also just really, really hard to play right now. Because you really have to... You just don't have enough resources. I mean, think about other characters. Think about... Hell, think about Cassiopeia and Kennen. What are their cooldowns? Their cooldowns are short as hell. Morgana, you use all your skills. You just sit there. You wait a long-ass time. And eventually you get your skills back up. but you have to play perfectly, and that is never a position you want to be in, because what if the enemy team just outplays you? What if they flash a binding and they're fighting you and you can't do anything? But yeah, that is why Morgana is not very popular. This next question comes from Richard Master Really. While watching my 24-hour stream, he noticed that I was using 0.13/18 masteries. So, I just want to explain that. This was on support Lulu. I use it on support Zyra all the time too. I use it on most of the supports. I'll change it up giving some circumstances, like let's say I'm playing Taric, I want to move really fast. I might get the 21-point utility mastery. Let's say I'm playing someone like Janna. We're kind of the same thing. I'm not going to be that much in the front line. I might go 0.921. The reason I use 0.13/18 masteries for support Lulu, for support Zyra, I meant Janna by the way with the stay in the back thing, but the reason I use masteries is because it's the good balance of income, so I get the gold masteries, and defense. I have the reduced champion auto attack damage, so if you hit me for 40 damage, 5 of it is being reduced just off masteries. And that is what you have to do in the bot lane if you plan to play aggressively. I play very far forward very often. You know you're going to take damage. You're going to take possibly a lot of damage, like way more than if you were just sitting far in the back. And because that, you have to have enough HP to survive that big burst at the beginning. And of course afterwards you should hopefully have enough sustain from potions and a fairy charm at the beginning of the game, and eventually a full stone, or from your crystalline flask to keep fighting. But the goal for me is just, alright, I need to keep fighting. I want to be out there. I want to be aggressive. If I go for 21 points in utility, well, in that case, I'm going to be missing 5 reduced auto attack damage from champions, which is an enormous number. That is a lot less damage to be taking. If I go too far up the defense tree, I'm not getting wealth. I'm not getting pickpocket. Pickpocket, not super useful, I guess, but wealth is very good. Pickpocket is a skill that I have to kind of think about how often I really benefit from it. It might be like another 1 GP10 in some games. Some games it might be like 0.5 GP10. But that is a skill that I just really like to use. It's just fun to see +3 show up. But really, that is, you have to think about what you're doing with your runes. This applies to every role, every lane. So when you go 921 and you're playing, let's say, a really aggressive mid laner top, let's say you're playing Lee Sin top. Why would you go 21-9 in some cases? Why would you go 921? Well, if you're going for 921, it means you're probably going up against someone who's also very good at laning. You're not going to be going for outright kills, but you definitely can. You can always go for an outright kill as Lee Sin top. But you're expecting a lot more fight, a lot more comeback to come from the enemy you're up against. If you go 21-9, this means that you're just whatever, I'm just going to outdamage this guy. I don't care about his offense. He might, an AP caster, for example, it's not necessarily super beneficial to go 21 defense against. You do get more reduced damage, but the champion auto attack damage isn't quite as big a deal, because maybe they're not going to be auto attacking that much. But really, it's it's the weird thing with runes masteries. You have to have kind of your plan. That's why runes masteries can vary for the champions you're up against. If you're up against an AD mid, a bruiser mid, as an AP, you're going to want to run armor runes. Even if you normally run mana regeneration, you're going to have to run those armor runes. You're going to have to be expecting a lot more damage mid lane. If you're playing a top lane and you're going up against an AP, and normally you just run scaling MR per level, maybe you'll need a page that has just flat magic resist to survive the lane against early on. But yeah, that would be that for the runes masteries question. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I couldn't do it during the stream. I was going to, but then I realized about 12 hours in that if I was answering questions like this at that point, or even later on in the marathon, 18 hours in, I would just be incoherent and very, very wrong, most likely, which would not be a good thing. Hope you guys enjoyed this, though, and adios.